Another time with Coach Ayo, the enthusiastic. And in today's class, it happens to be the continuation of the course FMS304. And in today's class, we are going to be talking about critical research. It's been a long, it's been a long one so far. This is one of those courses that we have series of volumes. All right. If I'm not mistaken, it should be volume 10 now, and we've not even got to the half of the. Okay, I think we've done half. We've taken classes on this course to some extent, and we've done half of the material. So hopefully by next week, we should be calling in the wrap with the course, as we must have completed the course material. Fun and interesting journey so far. So for those of us who are new to the stream, let's ensure to subscribe to the channel. Let's ensure to turn on the notification bell, and most importantly, let's ensure to join the private class where we walk you through all your courses without leaving any course unattended to. How do you become a member of the private class? All you need to do is send us today a direct message on www.coachio.com, and in the bottom right hand corner, find where it says Talk to Coach Ayo. It's a chat button in the bottom right hand corner. It says Talk to Coach Ayo, and use that button. You'll find options like WhatsApp, X, Facebook Messenger, everything else placing a direct phone call, and we'll be happy to attend to you. With this being said, let's go straight into today's class. All right. So we have FMS304. FMS304, and we are taking our bearing from critical research. We want to consider what it means by critical research. Okay, now speaking of which, we already know what research is. The term research is not a new term to us. It's something we are pretty familiar with. We're quite familiar with already. But when it comes to the critical part of it, what are we talking about? When we talk about critical research, we are simply considering that part of research that lays emphasis on the fact that knowledge is problematic and capable of systematic distortion. Now, the concern here is to understand the theory, all right, as well as the practices. When we talk about critical research, it is a more intentional, deliberate, and precise kind of research that is precisely or intentionally concerned about understanding the theory, all right, the theory behind, the concept behind research work, as well as the practicality, all right. It lays emphasis on the fact that knowledge is problematic. Yes, as much as knowledge has its good side, so does it have the negative side. And this is also capable of systematic distortion. Talking about distortion, we're talking about unbalancing. All right. So if you don't have a proper understanding of that knowledge, it can become problematic. Just like we used to say, if a bread is on half done, all right, if a bread is half done, such bread is not fit for consumption, and such bread cannot be returned to the factory for reprocessing. Is either trashed, all right, it is trashed, or it's basically just has to be trashed because you can't even dash it out because it's not even fit for consumption, and it's not even fit for resale, for sale on discount. It's not even fit for reprocessing. All right, there are some goods that when they get maybe during the process of delivering the such goods, like when I was working in the hospitality industry where we produce yogurts, there are some quantity of our yogurts that gets bad. Like when I say bad, probably during the process of transporting them to where they are required because of the bad road. Some bottles might trip or fall and they might just spill. All right. So when they are being returned to the factory, I think there's a way they still work on them to either we are emptying the bottle that we can reuse the bottle, or there's a way it's just been worked on that it's not completely a waste. All right. But in situations whereby a knowledge is not all right, if knowledge is not completely understood, all right, understanding the concept behind it, which is the theory and the practicality of this knowledge, it becomes problematic and it has the capacity of distorting, all right, systematically. So critical research is intentional about understanding the theory as well as the practicality of research knowledge. Critical research. So we have understanding the, all right, let's move it intentional, all right, or concern about understanding the theory as well as the practicality. The theory as well as the practicality of knowledge. So we have that as that. Our time is fast spent due to the network issue, so we're not be taking much of our time tonight so that we don't distort other classes. So I'll try to be as fast as I can because I want us to cover some ground tonight so that by next week we can complete this and we are looking at some other course. So we have some elements of critical, right, research. So we have abstraction, we have totality, we have essence, we have ideology, we have praxis. So when we talk about abstraction, here we have it is often misunderstood in terms of distillation of sensory perception of the world of objects into conceptual categories. Now it starts from literally, all right, it starts from literally objective word and select out recurrent or apparently the core or defining feature until an abstract concept is formed, at least in our minds, if not in a directly communicated form. What are we talking about here? We are simply talking about the misunderstanding of abstractions. You know, abstracts are individual entities, all right? They are individual context. And if they are not properly understood, the abuse of abstraction can be an right. So having said that, we also have totality. All right, we have totality. And you know, when we talk about abstraction as well, it has a lot to do about ideas you just draw out from the belief. All right. We'll talk about abstraction. It has also to do with the cognitive process of simplifying that complex reality by focusing on what? Essential fundamentals. Are we together? It is the ability to create conceptual models in science. So if you don't really understand how abstraction works, definitely misunderstanding is just around the corner. So now let's take a step further. We have ideology still under D, all right, element of critical research. For ideology, this is a concept which has a long history. All right, it is current usage. It's current. Also, thing from the sub. Also, thing from the service provider. I think we are. I think we are good to go now. Okay, can we all hear me? Or now, so the ideology here, all right, has two approaches. All right, they are positive and the negative view of ideology. So when it comes to critical research, idea matters a lot. All right, what is the idea behind? Are you being exploited, or you are intentional about development? All right, so let's take a step closer to approaches in critical research. What are the approaches? There are basically four approaches. So we have approaches. 1, 2, 3, 4. For the approaches, there are four approaches. And these approaches are okay. These approaches are critical case study. Here, we choose for detailed empirical, which specific focus on analysis of contradiction. A variety of different data collection techniques are used within this critical case study approach. Now, for critical case study, critical case study. Here you are intending. Remember we said case study is more like a subunit of your from your research. I used in my case then I said remuneration and incentives or workers, employees in the hospitality industry. So my area of my case study was now the name of the company I was working there, a case study of so organization. So those incentive and staff improvements, I'm going to be using this particular organization that's under hospitality industry as my case study. Meaning I'll be focusing all my research, everything will be focused on them. All right, so we also have radical historicism. For radical historicism, here this presupposes that constructing histories is an all right, creative process rather than recording of facts attempts to dig beneath the surface. Now, historical development of structural forms has a lot to do with radical historicism, which is concerned with unveiling, all right, which you are going to be intentional about unveiling or uncovering historical evidence. All right, this is when you use history to uncover certain evidence that will affect that affects the present or the future. So we have critical ethnography. Ethnography, I beg your pardon. So we have critical historicism. All right, critical historicism. So you have critical ethnography. Critical ethnography. Now, this is widely used and it involves a close attention to detail which characterize ethnography. All right. So speaking of which, it is very useful in rendering all invisible to be visible and for revealing anomalies and common sense notion. So when we talk about ethnography itself is said to be a qualitative research, not quantitative, qualitative research. All right. And this research has to do with the long term immense observation, the long term immense observation, observation of what? Culture or a group within a natural setting to understand their behavior, social interactions, and the like. So now we have critical ethnography and we have critical. Oh, that is for critical ethnography. And the last one is structuralist technique. Structuralist technique. Now, for structuralist technique, what do we have? It refers to the two types of structuralist techniques in critical social research, and they are semiological analysis and identification of binary. Now, for semiological, it attempts to uncover the connoted level of denoted messages. All right, though widely used in mass media. When we talk about connoted, it speaks deeper than superficial. All right, connotation and denotation. Denotation is more like superficial, and connotation goes even further and detailed. All right. So for the identification of binary, it draws linguistics and presupposes that structure of language is inherently what? Consequently, the symbolic meaning of images that can be considered from different point of view. So basically here, we are talking about the identification of binary oppositions and narrative sequences. All right. What are your narratives to certain imageries and linguistics? So we have that. Very quickly, let's talk about the philosophical research. So all this has been on critical research. For philosophical research, it studies, all right, the assessment of the status of knowledge through what? Analysis of meaning and relationship of different concepts. That is for the philosophical, all right, studies, research. Now let's take that down. Okay, I think it's stable now. All right. So now, I think it's stabilized now. So it says, all right, according to what we have here, we have the philosophical research. Considering it's of knowledge through analysis. All right, the analysis of, of meaning. All right, focuses aims at the analysis of meaning and relationship aims at the analysis of meaning and relationship between and exposition of understanding assumptions. Let's just stop here. It aims at nature of different concepts as it relates, all right, as it relates to different. So we have that as that. So what are the main steps in philosophical inquiries? All right. What are the main steps in philosophical inquiries? To start with, we have the identification of step five, the appropriate topic. You have to ensure that the topic chosen is capable of yielding a system of thought with sound justification. All right, that's the identification of an appropriate topic. Good evening, Miss Benum. You came pretty late, but it's fine. The most okay. That was the thing from the service provider. Now let's talk about naturalistic inquiry. What we have on, as the name implies, this can be said to mean all investigation about social and educational phenomenon conducted in natural settings. So, in a nutshell, this is the kind of research conducted in a natural settings. It is identified with the concept of field study, all right, in it is identified with the concept of field study in the area of sociology. All right. So naturalistic inquiry follows an altogether different conceptual framework. All right. This takes into account certain factors, factors like multiple realities, meanings and interpretation, generation of knowledge, generalization, and the likes. So for multiple realities, naturalists believe that when it comes to All right. Um, Naturalistic inquiry, you need to lay emphasis on the meaning. All right. When it comes to naturalistic inquiry, as far as multiple realities is concerned, all right, naturalists believe that multiple realities exist in social situations. All right, these exist in concrete form. Realistic realities can be regarded as what people perceive at a particular time, which is very true. You can perceive something at this particular moment, and in just few moments, you're perceiving something else. All right. And when we say perceiving now, it's not the perceiving of smell or aroma. We're talking about your philosophy to a particular situation or your philosophy of a particular situation. So we've seen situations in social settings whereby individuals, people perceive different, all right, realities. So the interpretation and meaning, which is another framework for naturalistic inquiry. So under meanings and interpretation, naturalists also lay emphasis on the meaning and interpretation given to objects, events, and processes concerning social and educational situations. Now let's take a step further. What are the uniqueness of naturalistic inquiry? We have the holistic approach. So we have uniqueness, holistic approach. Now, for holistic approach, the intention of naturalistic, all right, the intention of naturalists of the development of deeper understanding of a given situation in a what holistic manner. Understanding here of the perception of an idea or philosophy is usually holistic, halfway. It is done in such a way that there has to be a proper comprehension of the research. And we have insightful inquiry as well. Emphasis by the naturalists here, all right, is on where human beings are treated as a sole means of data collection, all right, unlike situations whereby you collect data about inanimate objects. Here, human beings are they are treated as the sole means of data collection, the insightful inquiry. Okay, the case study research. Now, for this kind of research, it can be defined as an intensive investigation. All right, an intensive. Okay, Miss Neville said that she started with us, but the network has not been stable. Yeah, it's a general problem. Yes, you can tell it's a general problem actually. Okay, so now for this case study research, it is said to be an intensive investigation. Intensive investigation about pertinent aspect of a particular unit in a given situation. You know, I said it. Case study is more intentional about a more niched or a more sieve or concentrated part of a unit. And most likely, you have to take out your case study from the main problem of your research. That's why it says here that it is seen as intensive investigation. Intensive investigation, all right, about an important aspect of a given situation or unit. A case study conduct on individuals may be likened with the process of growth and development of a child. Okay, so that we're talking about here, case study is more controlled and closed down on a particular or focused part of a complete unit. So it says it conducts deeper understanding, all right, of intricate relationship existing in the process, aspect of a specific unit or through qualitative investigation. Underline deeper understanding. All right, that's what it does. It elaborates more on a concentrated area. So, what are the characteristics here? Continuity in investigation. Don't forget, it is part of the investigation. It's just a part of the investigation drawn out to expand more for proper understanding. So, there is continuity in investigation, there is completeness, authenticity, all right, authenticity of data. There is also what we refer to as intellectual sentences, all right. And here is what we call a wrap for today. And in our next class, we'll be taking it up from descriptive research. So let's have assignments, because our next class will be by next week. Assignment. So we have, okay, consider some topic for our respective class. Number one, what is, all right, case study research? Explain with a short note. All right. Two, what is a questionnaire? All right. Explain a short note. So, thank you very much, everyone. I believe you've been able to gain something to this class. Please let's do it to keep our notes up to date and send them to their appropriate contacts. Do have a wonderful evening. I look forward to seeing you all in subsequent tutorials.